Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude BeyondMystic, and welcome to today's edition of The Moon is Inhabited. With me, of course, is Mr. Bruce Sees All. You can find him at Bruce Sees All here on YouTube. Bruce, welcome back to the show. How are you, man?
As always, I'm doing great, man, and thanks for having me back. As always, I appreciate the ones that help me push this research out. It's not
We all have to stick together and get to the truth, Bruce. But before we get to the truth, the fact of the matter is you're a little bit older today. What just happened? How old are you? Happy birthday.
Yes, but there's been no confirmation or proof of any video yet to show that. But yes, okay. I'm up to 48 years old, which I am getting old because I thought I was 46 going to 47.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
for sad. Now, it's a conspiracy theory. It hasn't been approved or officially put out there by official.
I was waiting for here. I'm confirming it here today. Yes, Bruce is 48 years old.
Bonne fête, Bruce.
Well, thanks.
Really happy to have you back.
The guy's like, thanks a lot.
Well, I'm older than you, so I feel like you're a spring chicken.
Hey, well, man, you don't look old, but that's the problem. Look at me. I had a great stream yesterday. The community came by, happy birthdays and a whole bunch of. Even though my crew is small, we have like a family-like crew. So I was lucky. I had a good live stream. Came on for my birthday to stream for the first time, and it was awesome. So had some fun.
Cool.
What about those UFOs, JP, flying around? Balloons my butt.
Is there anything flying around, Bruce? I didn't notice.
As a matter of fact, I think I saw something fly by your window, but it's crazy. They start out with a balloon.
Bruce, it's absolutely crazy. Let's backtrack a little bit here. We have a lot of footage we want to show to the audience members of your amazing captures here with your telescope. But before we get into that, it very much appears, and we have to watch our language here. Of course, we're still on YouTube. But I'm going to call it a skirmish for now, not to use the W word.
Between the lines.
Right.
The between the line words.
But it very much appears that we're in that state of affairs right now, but yet mainstream media is not recognizing it, or officialdom is not recognizing it. But there's so many things happening, not just the aerial incursions, but all of the train derailments, the food processing plants exploding, and much, much more. Bruce, what's going on to you? Do you think this is a critical event where they're going to bring in the space alien invasion as a cover story? Is that part of the scenario we're in now? Where do you place all that? Because you've been following this line of research for a long time, but it appears that it's all culminating now to this big crescendo. How do you see things transpiring right now? And where do you feel this is going? If we just laid it out a couple of weeks more of this craziness we're seeing now, where will we be perhaps at the end of March? Go ahead.
That was amazing as a question. You should have been at the White House. Those are questions that you want to hear at the White House. Right. I could just see you'd be hauled out on your ass and butt with your cameras dragging by the strings and wires, charger off your belt.
Press privileges revoked, sir. Never come back.
Exactly. Yeah. Get that guy's name. No, that was a great question. And in reality, whether you know it or not, but there's so much information coming out. Yeah. Now it's not about not being up to date. It's about getting the chance to talk to a friend because he heard something and he heard there's too much coming out. Yeah. The Pentagon got caught, and this came out with FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act, that civilians in America can pull out and declassify certain files that were classified for several years. The Pentagon got caught working with a private association, several private associations, and this was confirmed, leaked, that said that they were working on a type of propulsion. Different types of propulsion. Apparently, it was supposed to come out in 2023, which makes me laugh, around March or May exactly, which is the hypersonic traveling with the vessels, and a water propulsion type or plasma propulsion type, like on Artemis 1, they're doing experiments with two types of propulsions. So I think the first balloon that they saw, that they said, hey, there's a spy balloon, it was visually cylindrical. If we talk visually, there you go. And we see the gas coming out of it too, or it was the missile or the trace or whatever, but we do see a smoke come out of that, right? It's like there was maybe a gas or something inside, but it was cylindrical. But that's the only one they showed. That
Yeah,
one was,
because the other two, they said one was octagonal.
yep,
One
yep,
said that it was more like a cigar silver tube, and the
exactly.
other one, I believe it was the Canadian one, either the Yukon one. I think it was a Yukon one. They said it's not a plane per se. That's what their best description was. All of it. So
Exactly,
we're all over the
exactly.
place with whatever's in the sky here. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
and the one in Dead Horse, Alaska, which
Yep.
is just at the end of the coast, right where the Canadian waters and American waters, I guess, meet, even though it's not over water, it's frozen.
Yep.
They shot down something that the pilot's testimonies did say they did not know what propulsion type of system or of any type of propulsion. They didn't see any, hoses, lines, or nothing coming out of this object.
Yep.
And were not able to understand why it was maneuvering. And they said it affected their sensors. But the first video in Montana, it was a guy that filmed it stationary, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
So when they filmed that stationary, could it be that that's why they first mentioned the spy balloon to us? Because, they maybe wouldn't have mentioned that.
Otherwise, yeah, you're right. That's a good point. Here's the other article where they're talking about the cylindrical silverish gray object here. I believe this one was in Canada. Am I right? Do you
I
remember
think
where this
so. And
was?
is that the one where they were saying maybe there's a balloon inside the object making it float? I mean, I loved that one.
Yeah, that was funny. But let's go back to the balloons here for a second here too. Like clearly, there's more than one thing happening. They shut down the airspace over Montana. Also, there's
Yeah.
a debate as to whether it was Biden or Trudeau that had ordered the shoot down here
Absolutely.
in Canada. We can get into that in a
And
second.
I have to note, not to cut you off,
Yeah.
it's over areas where we see snow. Is it coincidence or not? All the snowy regions.
Mhm.
Mount Wilson, a couple of hours ago, just heard this. And of course, it's not in the news. It's a guy interviewing a guy that owns Mount Wilson Ranch. You can check and confirm it in Nevada. It just shot down a UFO there. And the people, the owner was had a testimony that he saw the object being shot down. But again, there's no video of it, right?
So let me ask you, do you think the balloon thing is the cover story similar to Roswell 1947? Originally, it was a down craft, and then it was just a weather balloon type of thing. Are we being treated to the balloon theory again here? But there's something to it. And I want to bring this up to your attention. A few people were seeing these green lasers appearing in Hawaii and apparently across Alaska too. Perhaps these balloons were part of a grid to detect perhaps what the actual incursions were. So they were not the incursions per se, but they were used as a cover story for whatever the hell was incursioning into our airspace.
Monitoring UFOs, maybe.
Yeah.
It could have been literally. But yeah, that was seen over Hawaii. And there's so much fake news out there. I don't know what's true and not, but I know they talked about the war. We don't talk much about war, but there was a warship, US or not USSR. I'm a bit too far back to the Soviet. A Russian warship that was there, visible in Hawaii, and this was only 2 weeks.
Well, they also
before
deployed just
laser.
recently nuclear warships just a couple of days ago. That was in the news, and also over Alaska, nuclear bombers. Now, if that's related to all of this, nobody seems to be connecting the dots for us yet. But what seems to be evident is that there's a fight for the narrative here. We had the chief of the continuity of government saying, "Oh, we're not ready to rule out UFOs," and of course, he would be the guy that would be in charge if we had an alien invasion. But here we have the White House kind of snickering. The press secretary was laughing the other day, saying, "Oh, I did like the movie E.T."
It was so disappointing. I saw that interview, and I saw them laughing. I saw the woke reporters laughing, but the other ones weren't laughing. They were like serious.
Right.
So it's like everybody, the coming of Christ, for example. Christ, we want Christ to come back. We want Christ to come down. Our Savior, we want Christ. Then we're going to see him in the sky, and the first thing people are going to say is, "That's not Christ."
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that there will or will not be a fake invasion or alien invasion, but let's not forget that Project Bluebeam, and I hope I don't disappoint your community or mine. Everyone's into that, but it's still a theory.
Yeah.
It's not an actual project. It was an idea that something could be coming. As an alien invasion. I don't see the use of it. I see the use of doing that maybe to defend the planet against something coming in. Like, for example, you remember
let me just backtrack a second just to make sure we're on the same planks here. I don't know for a fact it was a project. A lot of these things are black and unsubstantiated or unacknowledged projects. But
Right.
I believe that Werner von Braun had said this at his deathbed, that the last card they would pull, presumably they had the plan here to create this invasion.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so we're on the same page there. But
Yeah.
whether or not they wanted to do that, I was told also, and I think Cliff High is of the same opinion, that the technology to do that didn't really work as well as they wanted, and that they could have abandoned that theory or that idea back in the 90s. Now, whether that's true or
Right.
not, I
Right.
don't know.
Or be expanding on it. Exactly. Like the, that's what they do, right? Like
Yeah.
you will eat bugs, but it's not right away. It's
Right.
like they talk ahead of time, they talk too fast, they
Yeah.
talk years ahead of time, and they abolish programs and change ideals like we change flows.
Mhm.
Like, they just go up, down, send funding there, take it off there, pull it over there. It's hard. It's hard to follow. During the wars when they used balloons on the ground to pretend that there were big ships, or holographic images could one day be used. And I talked about this on the moon. Imagine you see one UFO on the moon winding, like I saw, winding
Yeah.
left and right, but you see 30 around it. Imagine if it was really only one craft projecting lights all around it and stuff. I mean, that would be, I got chills just thinking of that, how it would be scary being able to hide the truth.
There's an episode in Star Trek Generation when Picard uses the holodeck to project the Enterprise because he's fighting the Ferengi. So instead of looking at just one ship, he's like 100 ships, I think.
That rings a bell. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, crazy stuff.
And
Okay,
it worked. It worked.
let's go back to these technologies and perhaps how they evolve in time. Now, Cliff I was on a show maybe 10 years ago. I think it was the first time he had mentioned it. He had mentioned that his dad was in the Vietnam War. He was part of an air wing commander type of outfit, and his soldiers were testing these new night vision goggles, but they were red spectrum as opposed to the green.
Hey, yeah, I heard of that a couple months back, right?
Yeah. Well, he had mentioned this, like I said, the first time maybe 10 months ago, but I think he just recently said.
Yeah, they brought that up. The red infrared, the different wavelength, where it looks like it's daytime, like you see outside, like it's like literally a regular camera. Apparently, I don't know if it has to do with
And
that.
not only that, what seemed to have happened is the soldiers were going berserk in their helicopters. They were shooting at what the other guys who weren't wearing the goggles, from their perspective, they were shooting at nothing. And they were saying, what the hell are you guys doing? It's like, well, we're shooting at these dragons. So with the red goggles, they were seeing perhaps another dimension.
Yes,
Or
and they took it away after, right?
Exactly.
Yes, okay. We're in the same story. Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah. So what's interesting, I'm setting that up here for what we're just seeing here now. There's this guy on YouTube. He's called Custodian Files, I believe it is. I'll bring up the link in a moment here. But he just did an interview a couple of days ago with Rex Bear at Leak Project. Guys, go check him out. And so
Leak Project, very good channel.
Yeah. He's using these two 4K cameras together in tandem. At a 60 frame per second rate. And what he's saying here, you guys can go watch the interview. I don't want to mix up the technical stuff here, but he's picking up what looks to be, in his view, originally he called them dragons, and that's why I kind of referred to the Cliff High thing. Is that what the guys were shooting off out of the helicopters that now we're picking up with this new technology? Here, these are like frames by frames overlaid because it's moving so fast that he's putting these composites here in an image to show you the trajectory of these crafts, and they're buzzing and apparently tagging a lot of these military flights. So I thought that was really fascinating. What do you make of this idea of using different technologies to perhaps see what currently is not available to the public at large? I know, for example, you have a telescope that most people don't have at their disposal, but is there other technologies right now that could help us see what this guy is picking up here? Bruce?
Geez, if I was in court and you'd asked me that, I would say, I swear I didn't do it on purpose to change the wavelength or the frequency of the image. You can change the frequency of an image. There's different ways. You can look at things raw. When I look at the surface of the moon, and 60 frame rate, 120 frame rate, sometimes the UFOs don't appear. They're going by our eyes because of the frame rates of the cameras, and what I believe is the wavelength that you're talking about. That I believe there's another entity, whether it be a living organism as smart as a tree or a fish, or maybe an intelligent being, but it's flying around. As silly as it can sound, because people don't have that idea saying, come on, Bruce, I'm not saying necessarily a flying jellyfish or whatever, but they're talking about it. They're talking about, like, if you put it in context that maybe around us in space, what we perceive as space can be a type of liquid or water or gelatin or something in a different state or form, you know?
I'm just gonna blow your mind here, Bruce. I did not tell you this before the show, but of course, I follow you on your show. But you brought up an episode the other day where you had ducks in the foreground and this little UFO thing whizzing back in the air.
Yes.
And it appeared to have these wings that were moving on the different parts of the body.
Yes.
You see what I have on the screen here? These wings are moving. As you can see, they're not always pointed in the same direction. This is again a composite of what this guy is picking up.
Yeah, like that thing is moving, whether it be for alignment, balance, height, or it's measuring something. We can see a mechanism going forward.
Let's bring up this clip here for the audience members, because you could have caught also something similar. I'm not saying it is, but it's just interesting here for conversation's sake. Let me play the video here. Set this up for the audience members.
Yeah, because in this video, there's two events. This one is the most recent one of the military drone, and the one you're talking about that object going forward and back, that's at the beginning of the video where you see it green. Yeah, so this object, you're going to see it. Watch it here. Literally just watch. It'll come in from the right. It's there. So right now you can still say it's bug, it's shit or whatever, but watch.
Wow, you saw lights there.
Yeah, and a red and green light, which a wing usually has a red light on one side and a green light on one side to indicate to other planes where the plane's coming from. So guess what? You know, it's sort of like red right returning with the boats, green or whatnot. It could be refraction. It could be something else. But first of all, poop doesn't refract light like that, no matter what. It would have to be metallic, and it's rising towards the ducks. So it was lower than the ducks. It's not poop coming down, because it's so easy to stump somebody, right? You could stump somebody or whatever.
Bruce, keep going. I'll be right back.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's totally easy to stump somebody with something going by in an image around ducks. And people are smart enough to say, well, Bruce, it could be poop. It could be a stick or twig or dirt from their feet or whatever falling. Yes. So it's important to try to find out what angle it's falling down, you know? So absolutely. And
I had that freeze frame there to see the green and red light there, whether that's a port and starboard, as you say, for navigation.
Exactly.
See it again. That's interesting. Let me bring up the other clip that you had also. I think we had talked about it on the previous show. I think it's this one.
It could be the same video. I think about the stick going forward and backwards.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There you go. Here, closer to the end of the video. This one here. This.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that is another stick object. Now, here's a great thing, real quickly before you start. Oh yeah,
here you see the fin. It seems to be at the front.
Yeah.
And if you continue moving on, it does change position there. See, now it's in the back.
Yep.
That looks very similar to what this other guy is capturing, by the way.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow.
It's fascinating. So look in context, look at the moon. You know that it's not close to the moon. I mean, it's in the sky, in the yard. It's maybe 50 to 60 feet up. It's going down really low. It's just to say it's over the trees. Yeah. And did I see it in the camera go by? Yeah. Which honestly, I thought it was a bird. When you see a speck go by, you look after in a video and you say, well, it could very well be a bird. But that, Jean-Claude, is really when they were talking about the drone wars. And they're talking about, drones now during the protests, where they're looking at the people, the new technology they're talking about bringing out. And now the objects that they're finding, we could see it well here with the conversion. That's why the moon's black. Yeah. And of course, it's a bit blurrier, but because we're looking at it this way. But honestly, you can only zoom in so much. And you see the sticks in front. It looks at one point like a car. Those little go-karts that during the Cubs and used to make little wooden cars with 4 little wheels there, because at one point you see front and back there's like 2 lines. So it's fascinating. That was just a year and a half, I guess 2 years ago maximum, I guess, something like that. You mean
those little wooden push cars that you and I used to do when we were kids down the street? Is that what you're talking about? What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, you guys can tell that we're not young spring chickens anymore. Kids these days don't do that.
Kids are like, where the hell did they grow up?
They're all on TikTok now. They're not creating wooden spaceships in their backyard like Bruce and I used to do.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's go back to this story though. Let me see if I can bring this back up here. So, part of my first question there was, where do you see this going if we move the dial forward here another couple of weeks? Now, Cliff, let me see if I can bring this poster back up here. This is the first time. He said, okay, clearly we're under attack. Okay.
Yeah.
And he says in his last report here, let me see if I can bring it up. This is on his Substack, that from his data sets, it appears that we are going to be talking in a much, much bigger way and percentage by mid-March to late March, to the fact that we are actually at WAR, right? And that this has been hidden from us for a long time. Part of what happened in the last 2 years was a precursor to all of that. It's all contrived. And
now it's getting this lots of attention. Exactly.
Right.
But it's ongoing.
Right. And so what he's suggesting here is that perhaps more of the normies will wake up to the fact that we're not in Kansas anymore, and we are perhaps under attack, and we need to take action here to protect ourselves, our families, and all that, and what that leads to. So going back to all of this aerial incursion, what are you also picking up, whether that's with your camera right now or just from you have a big community there at Bruce Sees All on YouTube. What do you think is really happening, and how does this ramp up here in the next couple of weeks?
There must be a new technology that is out, okay? Because it's always going to be one or the other. We can fight about, not us, but people, whether it be aliens or humans. Aside from that, just what we're visually seeing, there's a UFO invasion. So whether we know it's human or alien, they're still there invading. An invasion doesn't mean you have to destroy something for there to be an invasion. So they're invading our space. They're around military bases. And even recently, even the balloon that was recently seen over Montana was very close to a base with, missiles and ballistic stuff, equipment. Exactly. Yeah. So they could be monitoring. It could be, I was going through a whole bunch of things like it's an X-ray machine. But where is this going to come? Well, it's going to come to, because of what you just mentioned, it's an ongoing thing that now, this has been going on for years, but it's so real now that they're having a hard time driving around, getting around, communicating without the media and without people, the prying eyes of the public. So is it because there's an alien invasion and something outside really was detected? Listen, Jean-Claude, there are signals. We picked up a signal. Arecibo telescope was closed down because it apparently broke and the platform busted through the center of the telescope. But Arecibo, 365 days before that, did receive a message, a signal from a certain galaxy or star, or it could even be our own galaxy. So it's like they're so hush-hush on that.
What's the timing of that? Do you remember?
You mean like the date?
Yeah.
Around when that happened? I'm not sure. If I'm not mistaken, it would have been summer 2 years ago during the summer.
Yeah, but my part. Okay, so that's what I was getting at. This is very recent, but if you look at, I believe it was in the 1990s. Charlie Sheen was in a movie that described extraterrestrials, and the scene you've just described there as the signal coming to Arecibo and the thing breaking down is in that movie.
Oh, it's fun. I don't watch movies, but you're creeping me out now because that link, I watched it a week ago. I watched that link a week ago. It was recommended to me. Yeah, wow. He got a signal. They're there and they're hurrying up and they're turning it back on. And then the military guy is coming, and then that guy turns into an alien and leaves.
Yeah. He's got the bent knees. His knees are bending the other side there. Anyways. Go check it out. But I bring it up because a lot of this seems to be predictive programming, just like 9/11 was.
Yeah,
just
like MK Ultra much. It's like
just like this train derailment. Sarah and I were just watching this movie a couple of weeks ago, and lo and behold, I mean, it's almost to the word what just happened.
I heard that about Ohio. Ibuprofen that's turning into hydrochloroquine.
Crazy. Yeah, watch the bad words here on YouTube because they don't like that.
Yes, no, absolutely. naughty me. It's true. It's true,
Yeah. And so let's go back to this Arecibo thing. Keep going on your train of thought. Sorry to interrupt you. I just want to bring this idea of predictive programming into the mix here.
Exactly. It's like everything's there. You're mentioning it was like the movies spoke to us about it. Everything that everything in the movies actually has really been explained. Everything that's ever happened has been presented in a movie before it friggin' happens.
Mhm.
That's a fact. But now people are getting to the point where they believe now there's going to be the alien invasion, or now there's going to be this something big because they want to do something. Why are they telling us about the UFOs? Well, because they're very present. And it could be because they need the funding. We know that when the Pentagon or the Defense DoD in the States, when there's an emergency, a national security issue, they get dibs to not only funding, it's just scary. They get dibs to a lot of power over certain, they get more authorities, and they can go around, roam around, and do more things. I dare not say it, but behind my mind, without bringing it up, I think it's something hypocritical that's being done by either Russia and China or the States towards Russia because of what's going on in the Uke and everything.
Yeah. Well, again, we're seeing the rhetoric go up there with the reverse decision on Crimea, and now the fleets being deployed in the last couple of days. I had that in the headline news here for the last night's show. But yeah, there seems to be something connected there. Now, just going back to this idea of them getting more power out of this, I wanted to bring this to your attention. Dark Journalist was also doing some research on this the other day. Let me see if I can go back here. And he said the continuity of government, or COG. Let me just mute you for a second, Bruce. We're getting an echo. He was saying that this commander here, General Glenn Van Herk, would be the guy to take over control here in this continuity of government if indeed we had an alien invasion. And that's interesting here because you're just talking about the jockeying of power, getting like power grabs during these scare events. Is that what's happening now to perhaps thwart some of the things that are happening in the other theater of war, to take command here of what's happening in the United States because it's not going their way? Well, let's watch our language here, but we can expound on that a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it has for sure, as a theory, definitely a lot to do with it. And at the same time, I'll say it this way: territory in the States, they often leave their territory. They have other establishments and even businesses in other countries where they're even protecting certain countries. It's sort of like they hire themselves, right? Without it really being mentioned, the leading countries are hired to take care of certain security issues in other countries. And the more the issue is serious, again, it comes down to what I'm saying is that they get the more funding they get, and they get more access to roaming a bit further away. So I wonder if they're not trying to develop a propulsion type or a system of something that will be able to go around the world without getting caught. But I don't think the big ass balloons are trying to hide, but it could be a diversion of something else. Some people said it was a preemptive dry run to an electromagnetic pulse attack, the EMP attack, a blackout or whatnot. Which, by the way, is also dangerous for the sun. If it's not the sun, it's an adversarial country that can be, manipulating the grid. It's a scary thought, and I'm afraid that they're waiting for that right time. This, what I'm looking at, I believe, was a deliberate attack.
Yeah. Yes, and I think more and more people are waking up to that fact now. And what we do from there, I mean, this is the critical point for all of us humans here. Do we lay down and go silently in the night, or do we stand up and say, far no further?
Exactly.
Like Captain Picard said in the one of his.
No, it's true.
What was that one? First Contact, I think. When
and
it's
and it's hard. It's hard just sitting here saying, "Well, okay, we can't say anything." Then you wake up the next day and you said, "Oh my God, that just happened? Seriously?" And you look online, nobody's talking about it, but everyone knows it. Everyone's thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's at the back of everyone's minds. And
yeah, can I play the clip?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's play this clip. Let's see if I can get it running here. Hold on. Will that work?
Too many compromises already. Too many retreats. They invade our space, and we fall back. They assimilate entire worlds, and we fall back. Not again. The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
Okay. No, nobody does it better than Picard. But I love it. It wasn't that loud because he's kind of like murmuring there.
That's how I should stream. That's how I should be talking when I'm talking about the moon. Do you realize?
Or if you did Captain's Log, if you did Shatner, that would be so cool. you can
Captain's
alternate
Log.
between those.
Start date.
I love it. Okay, going back to this alien invasion here, and saying, "Hey, this far no further." Part of us as Canadians have to realize also that we're not being well served by our elected officials. And I say this because I want to lead up to this clip here and see if we can go back to it. But this was Trudeau's response to why he wasn't shooting down the thing. Hold on, where is it? I just had it.
And notice his nervousness. Notice his nervousness.
Oh yeah, the body language is there too. And at some point he says, "Oh, I talked to President Biden and together," and his head is going like this. No, like they weren't together. They didn't make a decision.
There's rumors he's about to resign. It's just coming out, eh? There's some
that
rumors.
too. Yes. Following in the steps of Jacinda there in New Zealand. Okay, we'll get to that in a second here. But perhaps this is a precursor. Somebody was saying that all of what we're seeing now, the ineptitude of government, is necessary in order to get to the next step to remove them. People have to realize how absolutely incredibly useless these people are, and not just useless, maybe even beholden to other entities that wish us harm. Hence why we're under attack right now, and it's apparently nobody's preventing it. They might actually be enabling it. So we'll get to that.
They're like expensive, spoiled kids. They cost us so much money. If he wasn't there, we wouldn't be paying so much.
Well, did you see the video the other day of him with I think they were nurses in Ontario, and they're saying, "Oh, I can't buy food and the inflation, blah, blah, blah." And
I saw that too.
Like, it was so bad. And if I were a reporter, I would have said, "Yeah, but Trudeau, what about your $6,000 a night hotel room?" Like, come on.
And his 18 bodyguards?
Yeah, exactly. All those guys have guns, by the way, but you and me, oh, no. Okay.
No, exactly. And some of them are Chinese, but that's besides the point.
Okay, you're gonna get me in trouble, Bruce. Okay, let's play this clip and hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak, and we'll comment after that.
Yesterday, NORAD confirmed that an unidentified object entered unlawfully Canadian airspace. It represented a reasonable threat to civilian aircraft, so I gave the order to take it down. Canadian and American fighter jets were scrambled, and an American F-22 successfully shot down the object. Recovery teams are on the ground looking to find and analyze the object. Yesterday afternoon, I also spoke with President Biden and confirmed together that we will continue to do everything necessary to protect the sovereignty of our shared North American airspace, but also to do everything necessary to keep our citizens safe.
The last time he wanted to keep us safe, he forcefully.
There's a first time for everything. He wants to keep us safe.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to say what I was about to say. You guys know what I was about to say, but
I knew what you were going to say. We all know what you were going to say.
People are barfing in the live chat. I'm sorry, Ben. I know this is bad. But what do you make of that? This idea that an American aircraft actually, if we follow the news and what we're being told, shut down this incursion in Canadian airspace. Now, in a later interview, he kind of corrected himself. One reporter was brave enough to ask, "Hey, how come it wasn't Canadians defending our own territory?" And he kind of squeamed out and said, "Oh, NORAD is a joint affair, and it's not about getting kudos. It's just about doing the right thing to keep people safe." Yeah. Okay, sorry. To do that.
Isn't Russia in Alaska waters? And it would be really handy if the U.S. had access to entering Canada without being noticed on a radar or mentioned to get into Alaska, and from there, to example, I don't know, like someone launch a football or something, and then would be able to not get caught doing certain things. Or it's sort of scary when you think of it.
And you know what's interesting though? Here, after the fact, there was another government official that came out and said, "Oh, these aren't aliens, they're not balloons. This is more related to private aircraft and it has nothing to do with spying." I'm like, wait, you shut down private aircraft? Like, okay, why didn't you just ask the transponder who the guy was and bring him down?
Yeah, and they said it wasn't dangerous either. Like, don't worry, it wasn't dangerous. We shot it down with a TL9. Right. And then it's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Right.
Clearly that
Would they have not, like Jean-Claude, would they have not gone up? Oh, no, okay. We're talking 60,000 feet. That's a little high. So a helicopter couldn't have gone up with a sniper to shoot it down either way. We're talking like really high. But the one in Alaska was actually dangerous to interfere with civilian aircrafts. So whether it really was at 40,000 feet or not, we don't know. But you know, some of the commercial aircraft can fly as high as 45,000 feet when they have to contour something sometimes. So,
and Bruce, I'll forgive you if you didn't know about this one. So many things are happening at the same time here; it's hard to follow. But this one near Manitoulin Island, so this is not the Yukon one. This is just northern Ontario, north of Sudbury here.
Didn't even know about that one. I heard of the Mount Wilson one, which was just a couple of hours ago. But you know, no.
Yeah. So this is a couple of days ago. What was the date on this one here? February 12th. Yeah. So 4 days ago.
Wow.
Again, we didn't hear more about that. And, you know, I wanted to bring this up. I don't have the clip here, but the Minister of Transport with Trudeau, they spent a lot of money doing this Mission Impossible type of little video before Christmas where it's all cloak and dagger thing, and they give Santa permission to come into our airspace. I don't know if you saw that video. I kind of laughed. I'm like, oh my God, Canada doesn't have bigger problems than to have our officials making like
exactly. Don't forget, everyone thinks that Canada doesn't have a military. He thinks that we're out handing clothes. I think it's that Canada Canada produces many submarines for other countries, for 200 countries. We produce things for the military. It's so weird, but it's like it's so hush hush. People say, "Oh, I'm in the reserves," or if you're a Canadian soldier, and notice now, which is like never before seen in the news, they have the guy at ease, the military guy that's there now. So when they're talking in the news and you see a military guy beside there, what is going to happen for them to be able to scramble jets? And don't forget, there was 2 Canadian Air Force jets, and they had the F-22 Raptors or F-35s. The F-16s were scrambled, F-35s were scrambled, F-22 Raptors were scrambled, and Canadian Air Force. And apparently in China, did you hear about that one? That there was one in China?
Yeah.
Whether that's true or not, it's like there's something up there. It's worldwide. It's like it's a whole bunch of countries. What about the other countries that are not talking? Like, was there something over Finland, New Zealand?
Let me play this clip here, Bruce, and just to let you know, I have another live that starts at 4, so we have about 19 minutes left. I'm going to play this clip. I want to play another clip of one of your captures here, and we'll try to round up the show. And of course, Bruce, you're welcome anytime. I'd love to do this.
Oh, they're always fun, DC.
So many things you and I can talk.
They go by fast, and I'll be back, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Okay, let me play this clip of the Minister of Transport for the audience members who haven't seen it, and then I'm going to let you know the decode that we did on a special show after that with Janine with the cards. And there was more to the story than just a holiday prank for the kids here. But now, 2 months after, given the fact of all of our aerial incursions, we have to go back and look at this and say, what the hell were they really telling us or telling somebody else here in the scheme of things? Let's play the clip for the audience.
Omar, it's time.
Santa is cleared for travel in Canadian airspace. He's coming. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and stay safe.
Okay. I apologize for making more people puke here during the episode. But Bruce, this whole idea of Santa in our airspace, to me, I remembered one of those STS missions where the NASA astronauts were saying, there is a Santa Claus. And of course, they were not referring to ho, ho, ho. They were referring to aliens. Now, going back to the key code 4646, anything else in this video and the Santa reference with ETs now, does that ring a bell for you? What can you add to all of this?
I'm confused with that. I'm lost, dude. Omar and then Santa. I don't know if it's because I don't know. I was looking at my 7-Up can. It's just this weird, dude.
Dude, it's totally weird. It's creepy as fuck. It's cringe.
But it's a meaning. It's a meaning to
something.
Oh,
yeah. Okay, so you agree to me. This was not just for the kids, whatever. There's something bigger at play in some of the coding. They use these things to kind of like signal opponents or
like
adversaries.
what I'm getting out of that it's going to be Christmas soon.
Yeah.
It's going to be Christmas soon. Like something is coming, you know?
Well, and Trump also said we were going to have a nice Christmas. So there's a lot there to decode. Thank you, everyone in the live chat, for helping us on this one here too. But yeah, what were those numbers?
We can't even see Rudolph anymore. His red nose because of the friggin' masks. It's getting so bad.
No, Rudolph had gender reassignment. You know, it's a long story. We can't.
Yeah, we all now. There's a leaked video about the real reindeer games, and it's like 18 plus.
Oh yeah, I saw that actually. That's horrible.
Exactly. You know.
Okay. Oh my God, I'm losing my voice. I have too much voice today. Bruce, let me go back to our screen. I had another video.
Yeah, listen, it's the time. You got to see the UFOs lifting off the surface for sure.
This one here. Okay, so let me play that. Let me know where to move the cursor. Am I already there?
Well, there's that one. That's not the right video, but it's up to you. It's like
look, it says lifting off the moon surface, dipping into lunar atmosphere.
Yeah, those are other ones. But if ever you want to see the infrared ones where they're lifting off the ground here. And literally,
I do have that too. Hold on.
It's up.
This one here.
Press. It's the 11th one. 11th UFO lifting up the.
I have it here, Bruce.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Back up a little bit.
Back up. Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Okay. So you were almost in the right place. So this one's going for. So this is how it started. Real quickly, UFOs low on the horizon, and then, okay, series of 3 groups of 3 UFOs. Watch what happens. I'm looking around. I'm surfing in the sky because there's some appearing and disappearing right in front of me. Now watch this. Now they're coming up under the friggin' lines, okay, and they're igniting.
Okay, hold on. Let me scroll back here because I want to circle that out for the audience members. I just picked them out myself here. Hold on. I went too far back, I think. Hold on.
Right. I never see them that low. Like,
okay,
I mean, it's unthinkable seeing them that low there.
Let me just go back here. Yeah, one starts just okay. There you go. You can see one right here, right?
Yeah. And it was lower than that. So
yeah.
They were literally on the ground because I saw a light, like someone in the yard that had a light lit up and it started flickering. And watch the one on the right, what it does. And now this is one of another set of series. There's 3 more that rise up right after Jean-Claude, and it goes in different directions. We keep watching. They're going to disappear.
And right now, from your location, you're west of Montreal. Where are you pointing the camera? North, east, south, or west from your location?
I'm pointing exactly in the west on the W of the compass.
Okay.
Exactly west. Like for me, from here, from the Montérégie, I'm pointing to Toronto. Right. Yeah. And this is lifting up 15 to 18 kilometers from the US and Canadian border where the forest is. So it's almost no man's land.
Do you know if there's a military base down there somewhere?
There's a biological lab there. A biological lab that I found out they changed the name to a lab that was making marijuana. And it was a depot it was in our newspaper. It said, well, they're going to be holding like big quantities of marijuana. It's just a deposit area and stuff. There's no cars there that go in. and leave, but the cars that are there, they're American.
Huh.
So we're in
You
Canada.
know what? These, not just the train derailments, but some of the food processing plants over the year that have been attacked. On one hand, I look at that, I'm like, oh, are they trying to cripple our food supply with war? Or are those all cover for very nefarious things? And this is actually going to turn out to our benefit, even though we might have short-term pain of not having enough chicken or eggs, for example. They might have in fact destroyed what was underneath, including what perhaps is here just west of Montreal. What do you think, Bruce?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And they could also be trying to, like, some of the things that are happening with our food and everything. Some of us might be saying, "Oh, they're going to kill it," but it could be that there's some good, that certain things are being abolished that we're used to trusting, that are maybe to help us get forward. Also, the story becomes so confusing. There was definitely, a coup or a takeover with many governments, I guess, in countries, without naming them all. We all know it's just they all have the same narrative. Build back better. We heard the UK, the blood UK. We heard Trudeau say it. The Americans say it. Biden, everyone. It's ridiculous. France, build back better in French, but say de rebâtir.
Do that again, Bruce. I love it. Hey, Bruce, before we go, in the Web About Data reports, they had Cliff had this idea that we would be talking about ETs in a big way in the spring up until summer to crescendo. This was in the Web About Data for last year. Now, because of many reasons, censorship including all that, it kind of skewed some of the timing in the Web About Data reports. But now looking at some other data sets that are falling here at the same time and in what he calls these temporal markers, it appears that we're in that data set now. So I'd like you to look at, right now you're filming on a regular basis on the moon. Are you seeing an uptick in activity? Have you been busier lately than in the past? Does it seem normal to you, or are you seeing more stuff in our atmosphere? What's changed recently for you, and how does that tie into
listen, it's an incredible, sad, horrifying impact on me for filming the sky. It's even been mentioned in the weather about telescope astronomers, ufologists. We don't see the sky. I haven't seen the moon in months, literally not seen the sphere once, even once, like a corner of it. And the sun, it went a long time like that. But when I go up on the moon and I look at it, I most often always see something buzzing around. And it's always in the same areas where I usually look, like right in front of me. But there's more activity in the sky since about the last year, I would say. Even though the sky is hard to see now, I believe that maybe it has to do with that. The reason why the sky is hard to see, there's something around Earth that maybe they don't want us to see. They're chemtrailing.
I wanted to ask you, these chemtrail, you and I've been talking about it, the fact that they might also be chemtrailing the moon to some extent with the smoke cover, so that you can't get to what's happening on the moon. But is it possible also that this initiative, this atmospheric initiative, we'll call it that for lack of better words, might not be for the reasons that we always think about as a go-to in terms of
I agree with that 100%.
Okay, is it possible that they're trying to paint ETs and UFOs and track them that way?
Yes, like they used to track jets during the wars back in the 1900s. At the beginning, they were making lines in the sky, right? So that the radar and sonar would be able to pick up all the planes by having those lines in the sky. They were making crosses. It could absolutely be. It could be to. It really could be, like, let's not hide it, to block out the sunlight.
That too, yeah.
As long as
before I go, what did you make? We have about 4 minutes left before I need to change the slide deck for the next show. There was a couple of days ago this chunk off the sun that just popped off here. Did you pick that up on the? Were you looking at that also?
Storm. There was a storm here. A massive snowstorm, and see, this is what's frustrating. I didn't pick it up, but I filmed it the day before. The day. Actually, I filmed it that day in more of the evening for about 2 minutes, and it was very aggressive, but I didn't see any activity as for catching that fire nado, literally a tornado at the bottom, at the top. So the prominence lifts up at the top north side of the sun, and then it's sucked over like through a straw, and you could see it funneling around really, really fast. It was crazy. That they've never seen, polar vortex, and they've never seen that before, right?
Yeah.
But I'm worried because, like me, Betelgeuse in 2019 lost its top. It blew off at the chromosphere of Betelgeuse completely, which
Yeah.
is as wide as the solar system,
Mm-hmm.
almost, except for Neptune, and it's almost as wide as the whole solar system. And that's so. Is it a domino effect that all the stars and planets are having an effect in the solar system because of a large object there, or because two neutron stars? Think of it, man. If two neutron stars a year ago or something like that did collide, they said, how many asteroids, meteors, and comets were pulled into that area because of those stars? If
Right.
they disappear, what happens for the first time when a comet goes by Earth? It's always been going by Earth when Earth is not there. Is the comet going to go off trajectory, off path, and
Yeah.
then start bumping into other rocks? It could be, it's incredible what's going on, because we're seeing a change in Saturn's rings. We saw a change in a storm, Jupiter's storm, which is it's getting smaller by 80 miles. Did you know that? Every year, 80 miles, the storm gets smaller and smaller and smaller. By 2040, there won't be any more storms there. They'll probably be able to land on Jupiter. Who knows?
Do you remember was it Norm Bergman or Berg? I don't know how to pronounce it. He wrote the book, The Ringmakers of Saturn, and he was suggesting that somebody was creating those rings, and that they were creating rings coming into other planetary bodies closer to the sun.
Wow.
I'd love to do another show on that just with you.
Just
Bruce,
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, I'll bring it up for the next show. While we're at it, Bruce, let me see here. First of all, thank you for being on again, and a big
My
happy
pleasure,
birthday
man.
to you. And guys, go check him out at Bruce All here on YouTube. And how do we support you, man? Are you looking for? Are you building new arrays? Like, what's the next project here to expand even more your capability in doing these captures? And how can people support you doing that, Bruce?
Every video, except for the live streams, every video I have the description. In the description, I have the links to one fundraiser I have, and that's for equipment. It's on myevent.com. The link is there. I write it on each video. If you want to support it, you can contribute, $2, $5 to be able to for better equipment, of course, to get in closer, not only to get a bigger equipment, but to see better, no matter whether it be infrared equipment, drones, and everything. That's thanks, man. That's exactly it.
Let me bring the link down in the chat for everybody there to go.
Exactly. There's a thanks button on every video. Maybe you get to Christmas time, somebody can give $2 at the end of the year to support the channel, or maybe there's a particular video they like. But aside, I don't have 100 links. I got the fundraiser, and somebody that wants to send money directly to me, well, it's impossible. But except if you go on the live stream, that's the best way to get the direct money at the end of the month by a super chat or contributing. But it's a free channel. But because of the contributions, I'm still there. This is a full-time job. Watching the videos, that will help me get some ads, but it's small, the viewing. Man, I got no subs. If people here in your community, only if they find the videos interesting, there's a lot of fake crap out there, but if they're interested, they can subscribe also. We got a goal to try to reach as many people. We're almost at 100.
You're almost at 100K. They're like throttling you back like they used to do on Twitter, right?
Yeah, they've been holding me. For the last month, I got 100 subs. I don't get subs all month, and then they give me 100. But it's troll channels that unsubscribe sometimes, 30, 40 channels. So
yeah. Go ahead and subscribe to Bruce All, guys, if you want to see more of this amazing content. Bruce, before I go, we are today, February 16. What do you have on your schedule for March 9? Could we do?
I have an interview with Jean-Claude
on March 9 at 3 p.m.
BeyondMystic. No, I'm there, man. Yeah, no. Okay. I'm good. You throw out the date. I'm not going to do like I did the last time. You see the date change you did from the 9th to I go there and I said 9th, 16th. Okay, 16th. So I just reposted it and stuff. I'll be checking now more often.
So folks, stay tuned. March 9th, I'll bring up the poster later on today. You'll see it come up on my channel. And Bruce, if you want to simulcast to your channel too to get more views, I'm happy to do that too. It's all about getting more eyeballs on this research, getting people excited about the work. And doing our own work in terms of disclosure, because it's not going to come from the other side. We all have to work together. And for that, Bruce, I really thank you for all of your work. Guys, I got to go. Please check me out here on Rumble here in about 2 minutes. Let me see if I can bring up the live screen for you guys here. I'll be live with Janine for this wartime reporting on our Rumble show. You don't want to miss that. There we can talk a little bit more freely about what's going on. So
yeah, and thanks so much, JC. Thanks to your community. Thanks to my community that came by. I love you, man. I'm here, man. So I'll be ready for March 9th with bells on, and I'll get some stuff ahead of time.
Okay, I love you, Bruce. Have a great day and happy birthday.
All right. Well, I'll be watching your stream, man. You're starting at 4? At 4?
Yeah, at 4 o'clock. Yeah.
Who are you with? Who are you with?
Janine. We're doing the tarot.
I love Janine. I hope you guys watch it too. All right. See you later.
Okay. I'll shout you out there as well. All right. Take care, Bruce.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.